Abdullah, Gilliam, Guardian, Small, and Whitehead. So let's address them in that order. Fareed Abdullah. He's a young man with a desire to be mayor, and that desire fuels his campaign, and while most people would think that's a good thing, I might look for someone who wants to explain why being mayor is important to his or her plans to address specific issues. Mr. Abdullah has been hovering around municipal government for several years, but there are some questions about his disappearances, his ambiguity of faith, his funding sources, and voter support. Mr. Abdullah had he held no position, but he was hanging around the peripheral when the state takeover was put in place. But that does eliminate one demerit from his endorsement consideration. I still haven't been satisfied by any of the explanations about how we ended up in this place. Frank Gilliam. His commitment to doing what he thinks is best for the city of Atlantic City is unquestioned. His culpability in our being under state oversight is still in question to me. Mr. Gilliam was not a participant in crafting the actions the city administration and council put together when trying to stave off the takeover. He was clearly in opposition to any cooperation with the state. His plan for what happens if he's successful is not clear to me, but I know he will demand our self-governance. I also know that Gilliam is well funded, and that could beg the question, and I've heard this, who is funding him? Who's backing him? What are their motives and intentions? And if elected, will Gilliam be his own man? Don Guardian. Well, Don is a Republican. I tend to have a progressive political leaning, so I'm not going to consider him until the general election in November. We'll have more on that a little later on. Small. Marty Small. This candidate has really surprised me. He knows that out of all of the candidates, I have the most love and respect for him. This guy, Marty Small, he brought me into this Atlantic City, South Jersey world of politics. His long-term plan when I first met him was to become mayor. He believes that after many trials and tribulations,